Real Moves. That's the name, Real Moves?
Real Moves.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the first episode of the Real Moves podcast. I am Jonathan Gonzalez here with...
I'm Jeff Luna.
Jeff, glad we could be here. Finally excited to get this thing kicked off.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, nobody knows what we're doing here, but the point is we're just starting before we're ready. So that brings us here today. So I guess let's get right into it, you know?
So, I mean, I think going into this, we want this to, mainly be about entrepreneurship, business-minded individuals. Everyone has a journey. Everyone has a story on how they started, and I think your story is pretty remarkable, right? I think the way how you started shooting music videos, is that...
Yeah, somewhat.
Music, yeah, for upcoming artists, and then you got into filming real estate, and just it felt like yesterday that we met at that Starbucks location, and just kind of seeing where you were at right there and where you were trying to go and where you're at now. It's remarkable, man. So how I know there's a lot of people out there. We live in a world where a lot of people don't want to work for people, right? A lot of people want to do their own thing. They want to create their own business, be an entrepreneur. What's been your journey like getting to the place where you're at right now?
Man, from point A?
Point
A to Z. All right. So, I mean, as a kid, man, I always had a camera in my hand. That's what it started with, really. Ultimately, it started on a flip phone. LG flip phone, Verizon. I mean, I had one at too young of an age, but that's besides the point. But man, so when I had that phone, we would record videos at my grandmother's house in the backyard with my cousins just messing around. And then, you graduate from the flip phone to a flip HD camera. And now we're using a flip HD camera making YouTube videos of, a slam dunk compilation and stuff like that in the backyard.
Were you always the guy filming in your group? That was you?
Yeah, that was definitely me. So always filming, and then even into high school, freshman year of high school, I would rally up 10 to 12 guys, and we'd all go to the park or go to the football stadium after class, after school was over, and we'd go make some dumb YouTube videos and stuff. And that's really where it started. That's just for the love of having a camera and just holding on to a camera all the time. And then, kind of let go of that and picked up marketing once I got to college. And after that, I started falling back into it. It had been a couple of years since I picked up a camera from, probably sophomore year of high school up until I graduated college. And I'm like, you know what, this is kind of cool. Let's start this up.
And you did graduate, right? There's they're not.
Yeah.
You didn't drop out of college, right?
I didn't drop out of college. I finished college. Halfway through, decided I really didn't care to pursue it that much anymore. But I had put in too much effort and too much time and too much money not to finish.
Right.
So I had to see that through. Figured it out. And then after graduating, I was 23 years old at the time, and I figured I'm into this camera stuff again. I had quit my job a few months prior just to go to college my last semester without a job, and I figured, let's start up this business, man. Let's try this. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'll never know what I'm doing. I'm 23 now. If I don't start right now when I'm 23, I'm not going to start 5 years later when I'm 28.
Right. Yeah.
And so I just went for it, and here we are almost 5 years later. I'll be 28 in a couple months, and I'm fucking glad that I started, back when I was 23.
Right. And when did you really take it serious, right? Because everyone has that hey, I'm just messing around, just seeing what happens. What was that moment when you're you know what, dude, I gotta double down and this is it. This is what I want to do right now, at least.
I think from the get-go, man. Maybe a couple months after I graduated, May 2018, right?
Yeah.
Went on a couple trips, vacation with money I didn't have. Went to Big Sur, went to the lake and wherever else, and enjoyed myself like any 23-year-old would. But then after that point, coming back about late June is okay, I got no money coming in. I got this camera thing. Let's make this shit happen.
Right.
Whatever it's going to take. And so in the beginning, it's very difficult. For one, my skill level was really not there at all. you know, we're talking today might be up here. I was at like base level way back then. And so
And did you have like a mentor? Like, did you look up to anyone? Were you seeking advice for anyone?
You know, I have a good friend, my friend Jerome, who really, really appreciative of. He's been very helpful from the beginning. He was in my position at that time. He was in my position a couple of years prior. So he had already gone through it. You know, he's a photographer, videographer himself, and he had learned the ropes. And so thankfully I can rely and go back on him and ask him questions during that time, like, hey, what am I doing here? Am I doing this right? Or should I do things this way or whatever? He was always able to help and happy to answer any questions that I had at that time.
So, and it sounds like you took it really serious from the get-go, right?
Yeah.
Like you were like, I'm all in. This is what I want to do for this moment, right? Because stuff changes, you know, especially when you're a business owner. So, you know, from that point, right, I think it's a good point to kind of tell people, like, everyone says, oh, I'm just going to try this, right? And then they do it for like a week or a month, and they're like, it didn't work, man. I'm just going to do something else now, right?
Yeah.
That's a common trend we see with a lot of people. Like, it seems like the attention span is so small and no one wants to do anything for an extended period of time, especially if they don't see a result.
Right.
And then if they don't see the result that they expected, maybe they got a decent result, but then if they don't see the result they wanted, then they really stop, you know? So what's kind of like that mindset that you had? Like, how were you able to take it so serious so soon? Like, what's kind of the mindset people should have?
You know, going into it, I think the mindset is that, like, if this is something you're going to do and you enjoy it in that moment and you're enjoying it, although nothing's coming of it, then you got to realize that one day, you know, you're going to have that joyous feeling that you always dreamt of. You know, you're going to have that career that you wanted, or things are going to come of it. You have to start things with an intention, and you got to do and live and work by like your intentions, and make sure that, you know, you're just showing up and putting in the work. Like in the beginning, I can't say I knew what I was doing. I don't think anybody does, but you know what? You try one thing, you figure out that it doesn't work, you learn from it and you don't do it again, and then you try another thing, right? And it's just a lot of trial and error, a lot of YouTube University. You know, going on YouTube and just getting scrappy. I was fortunate enough, what put me in the position to really want to go for my dreams and like start this business was in 2017, I want to say. I stumbled across Gary Vee on Facebook, actually, way back when, and you know, started binge watching his content, video after video, Instagram post after Instagram post, and
kind of changes your mindset real quick.
Yeah, it got me in this mode where like I knew I wanted to achieve these things, right? I wanted to have the house, I wanted to have the car, I wanted to have the job, the business, whatever. But I ultimately wasn't putting in that work, that what it was going to take to get there.
Yeah.
So he kind of set me straight, you know, just lit a fire under my ass and made me think like, okay, I'm saying I want all these things and I'm saying I'm going to have them, but I'm not doing anything to get myself there. So thankfully I stumbled across his content and, you know, here we are. I hope that kind of answers your question on that. But yeah, man, with anything, just do it with intention and just work hard and know that it's not going to happen now, but you know, it's that little 1% every day that makes a big difference over time.
Right. I think for me, I think the answer is a lot more simpler. Like for myself, I think that no matter what, you could watch a Tony Robbins video right now and be like, oh man, you know, I feel great, or I feel motivated to do something. But at the end of the day, like you'll know if it's what you want if you do it. Mm-hmm. Because people at the end of the day, no matter what we tell them, they are going to do what they want to do, right?
Yeah. If
you go want a burger, you're going to go get a burger. If you're not going to go to the gym, you're not going to go, right? You will do whatever you want, right? And that's the hard thing to accept for a lot of people. And if you find yourself not doing these things that you want to do and you're doing something completely different, you don't really want it.
Yeah.
It's just that simple. You don't want it, and maybe you should think about going a different route. And that's just my opinion, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, you have to calculate what you're doing by your actions, you know, and if you're just talking about something and not doing anything, because what it comes down to is if you're not moving and you're not making any money, you're going to have to go do something to make money and then go exchange your time for dollars somewhere else. And then put your side hustle to the side, and you're going to get paid like a side hustle, right? So I think for me, when I first started, it's like having the time to be able to sit back and say, hey, okay, like, let me do this or do that, you know, like that was in that time. I think it's really, it was tough, right? It was tough to be disciplined, but I was always working towards something, you know. I was learning a lot, and I didn't know everything. I still don't. If you think you know everything, stop. Just do something else, right? Because you're wrong. No one knows everything, but I still don't know everything. But I found myself always doing something that was related to what I wanted to do, you know. And I never stopped consistently thinking about it, right? Because we are what we think about consistently,
right? Or
we'll eventually become that, you know. So I think that, you know, people need to really evaluate where they're spending their time, you know. And so for a lot of people that want to do like photography, and your field is so emerging, I think literally every business out there is going to need some form of video, photo for their business, you know, if they want to stay relevant, because everything's going to social media, you know, everything's going online. Just because you do real estate, right? What do you think about some advice you can give someone who wants to get into the field? Like, don't do real estate because they see you on this podcast, right? There's a lot of other ways that they can make money doing what you do.
Man, yeah, like you're absolutely right. I think the industry is still in infancy. I say that all the time to anybody who's trying to become a creator. I tell them 1000% do it. If it's even a thought and you enjoy this stuff, you like using a camera, do it, because this industry is so small right now that we haven't even touched the surface. Every single company eventually will have a videographer on payroll. You know, it's going to be varying levels of expertise. You know, you're going to have the amateurs and then you're going to have the professionals. But regardless of the fact, they will have somebody on payroll. Even if you can do that stuff with just an iPhone, it really doesn't matter. It's just the skill set that you have. So what I like to tell a lot of guys is, I actually had this conversation with somebody at the gym recently, is just get started, man. That's literally it. Like there's no secret. Everybody always wants a secret. Like, what's the magic pill or whatever it is.
Right.
Literally pick up your camera and use it. Take those files, edit them, see what you can do, mess around, watch a couple YouTube tutorials, rinse and repeat.
Right.
And just keep doing that over and over and over, and shoot anything and everything. You have no idea what you will like unless you try it. There's so many niches. You can shoot products like this one. You can shoot real estate, right? You can shoot cars. You can shoot portraits. You can shoot food. It's literally endless. Any item you can think of, there's a company out there that's selling that item, and they need photos, they need videos of that. So you can literally become the #1 photographer of markers in the world, you know? And as long as you stick with it and you figure out you like it, just there's really no limit to that.
And there's, you know, I think there's something out there for everyone, especially like the whole internet community. Like, there's content out there that everyone is interested in. I just think the internet makes it easy for people to find that, what they like, right? Like, there was a Zoom call I was on with one of the coaches that I bought into for like YouTube and stuff. And they had a girl on there that she liked gardening. And she's like, I never thought I could make money teaching people how to garden, you know? And she's like in Florida, and she's showing people how to, and she doesn't have that a huge following. I think she has like 20,000-30,000 subs, which is not bad. And she makes she said in the Zoom call that she wasn't full-time yet, but she was like making like, I think, a few $1,000s a month from this side hustle, you know? She was an affiliate, you know, she was making videos on how to plant certain, you know, plants and what time to plant them. And there's something out there for everyone, you know? And I think that a lot of people are scared to say what they really want to do because they think that they can't make money doing it. They just don't know how. Like, they're like, I mean, I like this, but there's no money in that.
I think it's a number of things, man. People are afraid to say what they want to do because they don't want to let themselves down. They're afraid to say it because they're afraid of what other people think, or they think it's just going to be too much work. There's a number of factors, but I think ultimately none of it matters, you know? Just go for it. And if at the end of the day you failed, then get up and try again and, you know, reiterate and rework it and do things a different way. But
and pay attention who you listen to, right? Because like you just said that you listen to Gary Vee, and Gary Vee is obviously doing better than most people. So even though you may disagree with what he says, he might be someone you might want to listen to. Right? Because we don't listen to people who just talk, right? Or just because they're a relative of ours or a good friend. If you don't have a track record, what is it to you?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So a guy like Gary Vee, millions of followers, you know, it's like, obviously this guy's doing something right, you know? So when you meet people like that, or you listen to people like that, it's always good to hear what they have to say.
Right.
Because you wouldn't listen to someone, you wouldn't go to the gym and hire a fat guy to train you, right? And you want to get ripped.
Right.
It's just not going to happen, you know? So I think it's very important for people to actually pay attention who they're taking their advice from, you know, and who they want to be like, you know, because that's what really matters. You could listen all day to someone, you know, giving you, you know, just a bunch of smoke. And there are people like that too, that take advantage of vulnerable people that are giving, you know, bad advice on certain things, like taking advantage of, you know, certain niches and stuff. But that's besides the point. I'm just saying, be open, right? Like be open and be like a sponge, you know, because there's so much great content out there. And you should never, in my opinion, be asking people like, oh, how do I do this? How do I do that? Like little things like video editing. Go watch a video, man. Like put in the sweat equity and go. You don't have to ask anyone. Don't rely on anyone. You know, you have the internet. You have so much great resources for free.
Right.
And people want to take advantage of that, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy to point people in the right direction, but it comes a time, you know, where too much is too much. And I need, if you want me to help you, you got to help yourself, you know, sometimes. And so a lot of people ask for advice, and I'm happy to help, but at the end of the day, I can only give you so much advice, and you just got to put in that work, man. You just got to get up, do what you got to do, watch those videos, and just put in work, trial and error.
I think a simple thing even for this year is, you know, you kind of get caught up in like day by day schedule changes, but I think this year we're really buckling down on schedule.
Yeah.
Right?
Same for me.
Like, I got to be doing this at this time. Like, I need structure. Like, you go to a job, I worked at CarMax.
Yeah.
And we had to do what we had to do every day. Had to get done. That was our job.
Yeah.
Right. And many people get into these types of businesses where they're entrepreneurs and they just treat it like a hobby. You know?
It's hard. It's hard. Don't get me wrong. It's hard to do shit that you don't want. You know, as an entrepreneur, a solopreneur at that, it's very difficult to wake up and do the stuff that you wouldn't have to do if you had a job, you know? If you had a job where you just show up, you wouldn't have to do it. And it's not always fun. It's not always enjoyable, but it's worth it, you know?
Right.
Because it's going to take you to that next level, or it gives you that little bit of freedom that you have from not having a job. So like you said, I'm all in on schedule this year. Big time, man. I'm like you said, you went with me this morning. We went on a walk, you know, 7 a.m, just get the blood flowing, before we get in the office and have our coffee right here. Right. It's just those little incremental steps and keeping that right mindset is very big.
Yeah. And you'd be surprised how much you can get done just by getting up early. You know, that couple hours that you sleep in the morning, it's crazy. You know, people don't realize that you can get so much done, you know, and it's interesting. A lot of like people that are like wealthy, a lot of them get up, you know, early. You know, and some of them, you know, say 5 a.m, 4 a.m, but not that early. I mean, you don't have to like to be wealthy, but a lot of people get up early. You know, they have early schedules and they're dialed.
Yeah.
You know?
I think those are that are successful. Not even just getting up early, but just having structure, having a schedule, a morning routine, a nighttime routine, just knowing that no matter what happens at this time of this day, I'm going to be doing this so I can set myself up for the next step, you know, and living by it and maintaining consistency and dedication, you know, it's big.
So I want to kind of go into now, like, let's say someone's decided that, all right, I want to do something like this, right? I'm interested. I kind of don't know, but I'm going to find out what I want to do. What is something they can do right now, like to start, like to grow their business?
This is for videographers, photographers, or anybody out there?
Anyone that wants to, you know, be a creator, you know, and they're trying to find their niche. The first thing that pops up in my mind is just short form video.
Yeah.
Just short form, you know, because we saw like obviously TikTok, you've done very well on TikTok. You've grown a great audience. And TikTok in the moment was really, I feel like it's a little bit harder right now if you're trying to emerge on TikTok, because everyone's like trying to post on TikTok. But we saw that the short form video, Instagram Reels came, now YouTube Shorts. So these guys obviously saw how much ground TikTok was getting. So now they're like, oh, we got to create our own short form video.
It's everywhere. Facebook has it, Pinterest has it, Snapchat has it. I don't know if LinkedIn has it, but they probably do, and it's all over the place. That is definitely probably one avenue where I would have people, explore if you're trying to get into any business. And the content does not have to be sexy. It does not have to be polished. It doesn't have to be any of that. Just use your cell phone and film whatever it is you're doing for that day, and start doing that. And you'll be surprised, man. People love that behind the scenes, real life, like raw stuff,
like reality TV. Right?
Yeah.
If they want to see people that they can like relate to, and I think short form video, I mean, for us has been, great. We're trying to amp up how many times we post, because volume, it's like Gary V, like 3 times a day. We haven't got there yet, but that's our goal, is to post as much as we can, but be more intentional with it, because with having a schedule now, it gets tough to record, to film and schedule all that. Then you got, in real estate, you got showings, you got appointments, you got things that you're doing, Zoom calls and stuff, and it gets pretty hectic. So to have time to film, it's like, so what we're working on this year is we're batching all of our content, we film.
Could you try again?
So we film, on a Sunday, and we schedule it all on Monday to go from Tuesday to Saturday, so we're dialed in, and really during the week, we're focusing on our stories, not so much posting, because that's already done.
It's already scheduled in the background.
Yes.
You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about it. We just focus on our stories and maybe replying to the videos that we've posted. Right. The comments, and engaging with people, because people have hit us up before, online, and, you just got to be ready, and I think even spreading ourselves out, right? Like the distribution is a lot better, that we're getting better at.
Right.
Like we post on Facebook Reels, YouTube Shorts, on TikTok, on LinkedIn, we're kind of everywhere. Even Nextdoor, we're starting to post on Nextdoor, because Nextdoor has a lot of like people in certain neighborhoods, right? Mm-hmm. So we're trying to post on Nextdoor and trying to, grow on different, Twitter, right? So I think that distribution of the content, to give it a chance, because you never know, like maybe a platform you don't think about might be better for you.
Yeah.
And your content might do better at a certain place, but you wouldn't know if you don't post, So that's kind of like what we're trying to do this year, is just batch.
Yeah. Smart. I think that's a good way to go about it. Definitely, because it's so difficult to sit on your phone and think of a caption and then post it, and then there goes a half hour, and then you got to go back to your other tasks that you were doing. It just like distracts you a little bit, right? It's just much more simple when you sit down at a computer, you have these 5 videos that you need to get scheduled, you post them, and then you get in the zone and you go boom, 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 and then they're scheduled for the week, and that's it.
Right.
I'm done, right?
Done.
Let me go work on something else. So that's probably the best way to go about it.
Right.
What are you using to schedule those? Are you using Later?
Later. Yeah, Later to schedule. And then I have our 3 accounts connected, you know. Yeah, so we don't have to really worry about a whole lot, during the week in regards to posting on social media, because that's the number one thing that our agents say, oh, I don't have time to post. I don't have time. I'm driving.
It's an excuse.
Yeah, it's like, but it is time consuming, right? I mean, to post like a good solid post, especially if you don't have the content already made, I mean, you got to come up with what you're going to say. Yeah. You got to come up. So it's really important to batch, and we have a teleprompter. We literally download the scripts to our cell phones, put it on a teleprompter. We're done in 10 minutes.
Beautiful.
And might mess up a couple times, but it's all part of.
It's time consuming, but it's just part of the business, and it's part of being an entrepreneur in today's age. And some people will say like, oh, I don't have time for that, or it doesn't work. Well, I mean, I guess it must just not be important to you, because there's always time. You were scarfing down that steak at Outback Steakhouse earlier, and you're watching Netflix last night. So where's your priorities at?
Or on the weekends, they're posting at fancy restaurants.
Yeah,
they're going out, having the time of their life. Yeah, I mean, again, going back to my point, people are going to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
You know, and again, if you're finding yourself not doing like, I want to go this way, but you're going that way, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's just not for you, you know, and you have to be honest with yourself. Don't lie to yourself, you know, because lies hurt forever. The truth only hurts once. Hey, it's not for me. Let me move on, you know? Right. So I think people got to stop lying to themselves too. Like, if this is not for you, it's not for you, man, you know? But not to discourage people, but you also don't want to, nothing hurts me more than wasting time, you know?
Right.
You put so much time and effort and then you go, oh, I don't really want to do it. You find that with college. How many people go to college and, oh, that's what I want to do when you're like, you know, 18, and then you finish college and it's like, I don't want to do it no more. You know? It's like kind of like, oh my God, I spent 4 or 5 years of my life doing this, and now I can't turn back because I already committed to it. You know, otherwise I got to go another route and it's going to cost another 4 years. Right. So, you know, that hurts, you know, but many people don't even use, like, you went to school for business, which is what you're doing, right? But many people don't even use like their degree for what they're doing.
Yeah, they don't.
You know, a lot of them just go in different directions, you know, and how important too, like in business, I think we're trying to put ourselves more out there in terms of like networking. You got to network with other people. You got to be open to other people, right? Mm-hmm. You can't like be shy, or like in real estate, they always say you can't be a secret agent. Right. You know, you got to put yourself out there. How important has that been for you?
Man, networking, I would not be here if it was not for networking. Like plain and simple, right? I got my first client through networking, and I'll tell the story on that. So back in 2016, I turned 21, right? This was about April 2016, and go to this bar in Long Beach and meet up with some friends, and friend brings another friend, and we're just hitting it off, having a good time, whatever, right? Follow the guy on Instagram, and he's a real estate agent. Didn't think much of it at the time, and 2 years passed, didn't talk to him for 2 years. 2 years later, the guy's his name is Nick. Shout out to Nick Wing. 2 years later, I hit him up on Instagram. I have no work, right? I have no work at all. I'm this aspiring videographer, so I'm like, you know what? I don't have any work. I'm gonna hit this guy up, and I'm gonna just make the work and hit him up, see what he thinks. So I make this whiteboard explainer video and do all this research on real estate, and I send it to him, right? And I say, hey man, how's it going, Nick? Long time no talk. Just not looking to sell you on anything right now. Just want you to check out this video. I'm going to send it out to other real estate agents. What do you think of what's being said in the video? Does it seem pretty accurate? He goes, oh yeah, this is pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, I would just change that, 4.5% to 3.5% or something like that. And you should be good to go. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Thanks. He's like, did you make this? Then we could use some of this stuff at the office. Want to come in and talk to the broker? I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah. Like, of course I do. Right.
Right.
So go in there, talk to the broker, have no idea what I'm doing. And, he offered me some contract work, and we just started going, and that's how my career started. Shout out to JP Cezanne of Crystal Cellar. But
there you go.
I mean, without those guys, I wouldn't be where I'm at. And, that just goes to show the power of networking. Just meeting one person someplace and keeping him in my network, and just on the back burner for a couple of years, paid off. And he was the one real estate agent I knew at the time, and now I probably know like 200 agents. So yeah, it just goes to show the power of networking is very
awesome.
Powerful.
Yeah.
So like what for you, what has networking brought, like business wise? Like, how do you find that helpful?
Well, like for me, it was golf. Like I played golf in high school, and it's something I never thought I would actually do like a lot. I played golf for fun here and there, but I leveraged golf because a lot of people play golf, and I just networked through playing golf. Because think about it, like if you go out to eat with someone, you're gonna spend a couple hours maybe. But golf, you're out there for like 4 or 5 hours, so you can like get to know someone pretty well in 5 hours out of the day, like playing golf. So I networked a lot. And what's interesting, an interesting story is I worked at this golf course when I was younger, and I joined there now, but I knew a lot of the members, and I met a member there that he was a board member, and I found his watch. It was a Rolex, and I was closing up the shop one day, was driving in the fairway. There was a pouch, and they had his watch in there. I didn't know it was his watch. I just turned it into the pro shop, and they a week later said it was his watch, and he was looking for it. He didn't even know it was gone. And he was so thankful that I found it. And we always had that connection. We kept in contact with each other. And then I left. I went to college. I worked at a different golf course. And I didn't see him for like 2-3 years. And then I get into real estate and I get my first listing, like big listing in Whittier, and did well on that one, sold it. And the owner who owned that property knew this member that I found his watch like 4 or 5 years ago. And he came to see the house after we sold it, and we reconnected, and he says, hey, I'm selling my house, so why don't you come down and tell me what you think? I said, yeah, I'll definitely do that. So I met with him and I showed him, what I can do. And he was like, I'll be honest with you, because, he's a professional. He has, pretty big position at his company, and, he's a businessman, so he told me, he was like, hey, I like you, but your presentation, it wasn't as good as the other agents, but I know you're a good kid. You have a lot of integrity, and that's someone I want to work with. So, I want to work with you. And that was like how I got like my second listing. It was pretty crazy. And I'm over here like 22. And a lot of the agents, they told me like, how'd you get this listing? Like, because there's a lot of agents right there that farm a lot. Mm-hmm. They spend a lot of money on marketing and mailers, and they just couldn't believe that a 22-year-old kid got that listing.
$1 million listing?
Yeah, just about at that time. It was like, 800,000-900,000, and it was like just crazy, So I just felt like it was good karma, because I found his watch like 4 or 5 years ago, and then, hey, I'm selling his house now, so it's crazy. But yeah, the power of networking, man, has been phenomenal for me. I always try to put myself out there. I'm always, trying to play with new players and, meet more people on the golf course. And it's not like, that's not not my only way to network, but it's a big one for me.
Yeah.
Because it's an activity that I enjoy doing, and it's just a lot of people that I didn't even know play golf. Play golf.
What's cool about it is you're good at golf, right? And so when you go out there and you're with these other people who you don't necessarily know, you're kind of impressing them with your golf game. So it sparks up a conversation. They're like, damn, this guy's good. What does he know that I don't, right? Like, what is he doing that I'm not?
And like literally, like my journey with golf has like been crazy. Like I literally was infatuated with it. Like if you're a golfer, like you just on the road to find the perfect swing that's your own. No one has the same swing, right? And it's laughable when you see these golf coaches. They say, oh yeah, like do this, do that, and you see like a lot of their students have like the same swing, but then you look on the PGA Tour, no one has the same swing. Why would you teach someone the same swing, right? So right. I think going back to like golf, it's like finding your swing is what's important, what works for you. Because just because one guy swings like this doesn't mean you're going to swing like it and get the same result.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I remember when I was in college, we used to go to the range like every night, and I built in my backyard by myself and my dad, out of PVC, a golf net. I literally on Craigslist, I found a net that someone was selling. It was like for a golf range, like full on, you can swing like driver, and this guy that had a warehouse in like El Monte, like I guess he wanted to learn how to play golf, bought this big old net that was like weatherproof and all that, and he had it in this warehouse, and he's like, I hate golf, I don't want to play it. So I drove to El Monte that night and got it for like $100, this big old net, and they're going for like $500-$600 on like Amazon and stuff. And so I drove down there, got the net, and then we just built it out of PVC, like learned how big the net was and just mapped it all out. I was like all night, and I used to I have a picture of it I got to show you, but and I used to play like golf. I used to work at a golf course, play all day, then I'd come home and turn the lights on, and I had this net in my backyard, and I was just like always trying to like video myself swinging and always trying to find the perfect angle. Shout out to Joseph O'Valley of Valley Golf Performance, because he's my golf coach, and I learned so much from him. And what's crazy about him, talk about like being an entrepreneur himself,
Yeah.
And really dedicating himself and spending the time to do something. Like those are the people that I like to work with, like people that are really dedicated, and he is so dedicated. Like when I first met him at La Miranda Golf Course, he was just absolutely murdering the golf ball. Every shot, so consistent, big, strong guy, just taking a huge divot, and the whole range will look at this guy like, who is this guy, man? This guy is hitting the ball like crazy, all ball every time, ball first. And I remember like he would always tell me like this interesting drills to do, like with the club and your hands and all this stuff. And I remember he told me, he says, go read this book. I forgot what it's called, like Finding the Perfect Swing or something. And he's like, go read it and you'll see like what I mean. Like it gives you like examples and stuff. So I literally went to Barnes and Noble like a couple weeks later, and I was trying to find this book, and I saw him there at Barnes and Noble, and it's like on a Wednesday at 7:00 at night. Saw him in one of the aisles, and he was reading a book on biomechanics.
Dedicated.
Who does that?
Dedicated.
Like who's like on a Wednesday really reading a book on biomechanics, like a big old science book, you know? And I'm just like, wow, this guy must be serious, you know? Like this is like, and what's crazy with him is that his journey's been amazing too, because he started as like a kart guy. He was just kart guy at La Mirada, and now he's like one of like the head instructors at Coyote Hills in Fullerton. So it's like amazing. He's doing phenomenal. Like he's getting all kinds of students.
That's awesome, dude.
You know,
Just goes to show you could really make anything a job, you know, if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's able to not only know how to swing a ball himself and know how to do the drills himself, but do it for all of his students at varying body types, from, you know, little 5-year-old kids to, you know, 50-year-old men. It's like,
yeah,
he's very dedicated and he's all in. That's awesome.
Yeah. And, you know, golf, if anyone knows, golf is really hard. Mm-hmm. It's not an easy sport. You know, I mean, think about it. Like you have a small club face. The ball is pretty big compared to the club face. You have no room for error. Like if you hit the ball a little bit on a couple of centimeters this way or a couple of centimeters that way, the ball's not going anywhere. You know, especially if you're playing like blades and you're like a good player. I mean, the room for error is like, it's crazy, you know? So a lot of people will pay a lot of money to learn how to play golf, you know, and that's where he comes in. He gets a lot of students, and no, he's doing good. It's great to see his journey too. Yeah. From like, cause it's kind of similar to mine. You know, I was a kart guy, and shout out to all the kart guys that are out there. But yeah, it sucks.
I truly enjoy entrepreneurship, man. I like watching other people doing what they're doing and hearing their stories and where they came from, where they started, and all that stuff. It's cool because you could truly learn a little bit from every single person and what they bring to the table, because everybody has something to bring to the table. You know, I don't care who you are. It's awesome.
There's talent.
Yeah.
There's all types of talent out there. It's just how you apply yourself and, you know, just actually doing what it takes, you know. And I think for me, sometimes I overwhelm myself with like, oh, I got to do it like this way. It's got to be perfect. And I have to do it like a certain way. Otherwise, I don't do it at all. Don't worry how it comes out. Just get started. Right. You know? I think that's a big thing for people, just to get over that hurdle. Just get, it's okay if it's not good. I remember before I met you, I attempted to do my own real estate video, and I still have it. Like I bought a drone, drove out to Murrieta to buy it. And yeah, I remember like the camera was all shaky. Like I was like, didn't even know how to fly the drone. I was like, you know, and it's just funny to watch that video and like to what we're doing now. It's crazy. And it's funny. A lot of the guys in my office, you know, a lot were older. They were older than I was. I was 21. And a lot of guys were just older, and they saw like I was into the video and stuff, and they were like, what are you doing, man? Like, why are you doing that stuff? You know, like, because no one did it in that office. Like, no one did video. Right. Everyone was calling, and, you know, door knocking, and supposedly, you know, and everyone didn't focus on social media at all. And now it's like in real estate, man, you talk to anyone, it's like one of the biggest topics. Yeah. Is I think real estate realtors are always trying to, okay, what do I do on social media? Like, what do I do? So for us, you know, we have a program coming out too, where we're going to get into like the intricates of like how we do things, you know, like how to actually implement. Because I think that's the big thing that people want to know is like, okay, I need to post, but how? Like, what's like your method on how you do it? So we like literally go through like from A to B, how we do it, or A to Z, how to get started, how to film, how to shoot, how to post, how we have it all set up so they can see like, hey, this is like what we're doing.
Are you taking it down to like surface level, like really dumbing it down for them?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And that's going to be like one of the first things, like when they join our team, like, here, watch this. Right. All your questions, you know, you don't have no questions at all when it comes to how to do, you know, certain things. And yeah, it's been good. You know, I got some good feedback from it. And yeah, it's like, it's one thing for people to say, because if you watch social media, a lot of people just say, oh, you just got to post more. Oh, you just got to do this more, or, edit more. Well, that's like going to the gym and, you want to get bigger biceps, and someone just tells you, hey, Jonathan, just got to work out, dude. Just work out. But how, right? Like, how? Like, that's like, that's the big deal. Like, how do we do these things, Right. Or at least, how do you do it? Like, what's your process? And that's kind of like what we've been, building out.
Nice.
So it's been good.
Yeah. So touching on that, man, like social media and you teaching other agents and other people how to do that kind of stuff is awesome. I think everybody's still kind of learning and getting into their own groove, and like you'll never find that perfection. Like you're always going to be, chasing it and trying to learn new things, but you can still just learn so much by just watching what other people are posting. It's literally that simple,
Right.
Take somebody else's content, you see that it's doing well, put it into your own words, put your own spin, your own flavor on it, keep that same flavor over time, and just consistently post over and over. Like earlier today, you showed me, right, your friend George. This guy, he's got to be, 55 years old? Besides the point.
At least something.
Besides the point, he's a little older, but really not in tune with tech, not in tune with social media. But you showed him the ropes 1 or 2 times, and you're like, here, George, this is how you do it. Do it over and over and over. And now, kudos to him. He's at 1,000 followers on TikTok, which is something. From starting from zero a couple months ago, now at 1,000, and he'll be on his way to 10,000 next, in the next couple months. So kudos to him, but it just goes to show that consistency and just putting your own flavor, your own spin on things is the way to go, man.
And he's like, honestly, like one of the first people that literally just took what I said and just did it. Like, he was like, this is crazy. And his videos, you argue like they're not that great, but I think they're interesting. He put his own little flavor on it, and he got a lot of like comments. He gets a lot of comments, and a lot of people talk trash to him because his swing is unconventional. He's a great player. He's the club champion at our club. He's the club champion of the whole club, and people comment on there like, oh, great result, terrible swing, or he says he was posting a video that he had the trophy. I just won the club champion, and one of the guys commented like, not with that swing, So you get like a lot of trolls, and you get like a lot of people that make these stupid comments, but don't worry about it. You
got to live with that stuff. You got to know if you're going to be posting content online, it's just people are mean. People are, out to get you no matter what it is you're doing. You could literally be saving the world, handing out money and doing all this stuff, and somebody's always still going to find a way to pick you, So it is what it is, but part of the game.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, man.
Yeah. Good first podcast. Real Moves Podcast. Thank you guys for joining us. We're hoping to do this thing every other week, if not more consistent than that. So we're looking to get some more guests on, really talk about real estate, entrepreneurship, and marketing, all things business. If you'd like to join us, like to be on a podcast, hit us up. We'll get you in here. We're here at our offices, and
yes, sir.
We'd be glad to have you.
We have some great guests coming up, and can't wait to share, the information to you guys.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Peace out.